If you're a leader, and that could mean you're running a small nonprofit, a global team, or, just navigating life, you probably know the feeling.
That quiet crisis.
Exactly. The quiet crisis. You are incredibly busy. Your calendar is just maxed out. Your strategies, they look sound on paper.
The metrics might even be trending in the right direction.
And yet there's this unsettling tension just beneath the surface. You start asking yourself, why does this work feel heavier than it should? Or maybe even, why does success still feel so incomplete?
And that feeling, that sense of exhaustion, even when you're high performing, is exactly what our sources are diagnosing here. And they're really clear. This is not a motivation problem. You're driven. You work hard.
So it's a purpose problem.
It's fundamentally a purpose problem.
Okay, let's unpack that, because this is a really sharp distinction the material draws. Our modern leadership culture, it tells us that purpose is something we invent. We choose it through ambition.
We set the goal, we chase it down. Simple.
But the sources say that real, enduring influence comes when purpose isn't chosen, but discovered, uncovered even. It's revealed at this intersection of, God's design for you, your personal formation, and a clear calling.
Right. And so our mission in this deep dive is to give you a blueprint for that. We're going to look at how to move away from that self-chosen ambition that leads to burnout and toward the kind of clarity that comes from a discovered God-given purpose.
Which brings us right to this foundational idea. Purpose precedes position. And the cost of getting that wrong, of thinking you just choose your purpose, is actually pretty steep, isn't it?
It is, because you end up anchoring your influence to really temporary things.
Like what? Fleeting passions?
Fleeting passions, market trends, or just that, that need for validation from other people. And the result is what the authors call activity without alignment.
Motion without meaning.
Exactly. And that is a primary cause of leader burnout. You're just running on this self-referential hamster wheel, and eventually the pressure leads to drift.
And to ground this theologically, the pattern in Scripture is just so clear. Purpose always comes before the position. I mean, think about Jeremiah. He wasn't told to go out and pick a mission. He was told his calling existed before he was even formed. The Lord says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart."
And that context is so vital. Here's why that matters to you right now. If your purpose was known by God before you were born, then your leadership is really about faithfulness to his design.
Not about proving your own relevance or hitting the next metric.
Right. It frees you from that constant anxiety of having to invent yourself over and over again.
Or look at Saul's transformation into Paul. I mean, that wasn't a career pivot.
Not at all.
It was a violent, divine confrontation on the road to Damascus that completely redefined his entire identity, who he was.
And that's the key difference, isn't it? Modern leadership theory talks a lot about finding your why, and that's good.
It is good.
But the sources we're looking at go a step further. They insist the why isn't just about personal meaning or self-actualization. It's about divine alignment. It's about being a faithful steward of what you've been given.
So if you're listening to this, the fundamental shift we're talking about is this. The crisis you might be feeling isn't a lack of skill. It's not a bad strategy. It's a lack of clarity of the why you lead at all.
And once that purpose is rooted in God's calling, your decisions gain coherence. Your leadership gets the endurance it needs.
That clarity leads us right into this next big idea. The difference between ambition and calling.
A critical difference. Ambition, when it's unchecked, is always self-referential. It's asking, what do I want to accomplish and how far can I go?
And it measures progress by what? Expansion? Recognition?
Expansion, recognition, acquisition. It's all external.
But calling flips the script.
It completely flips it. Calling asks, what is God inviting me to steward? And what faithfulness is required of me today? It doesn't start with a 5-year plan. It starts with listening, with surrender.
But let me push back on that a little, because in the real world, in high-pressure organizations, you have to have ambition just to survive.
Right.
You need goals to get funding, to stay relevant. How do the sources handle that tension?
That's a crucial question. And they don't condemn ambition outright. What they warn against is self-driven ambition replacing divine direction.
Okay.
And the answer is, in this biblical pattern, God forms leaders long before he positions them. The material just hammers this point home that leadership purpose is forged in these seasons of obscurity.
Right. The waiting, the wilderness, the mundane, ordinary routines, those aren't interruptions to your calling.
They're instruments of formation.
Yes. We see it over and over. Moses is in Midian for 40 years. 40.
A lifetime.
And David is anointed king, but then goes back to tending sheep for years while Saul's getting all the credit.
And what those seasons develop is what we call identity before influence. See, when leaders get their identity from their role, leadership becomes incredibly fragile.
Because success makes you arrogant and failure just completely devastates you.
Precisely. Look at Jesus' baptism. The Father affirms him, "You are my beloved Son," before he does any public ministry. His authority flows from that identity.
So he could withstand temptation, he could endure criticism, because he knew who he was.
Yeah.
His identity was already secure.
Exactly. So if you're a leader grounded in calling, you can take the external hits without losing your internal direction.
So the big takeaway here is to stop seeing purpose as this fixed map you have to rush towards. It's more like a compass.
A compass is the perfect analogy. God rarely gives you the whole journey at once. He just gives enough clarity for the next faithful step, and that's incredibly liberating.
Okay, so if we accept that identity first, purpose discovered, how do we actually make that work? How do we turn that from a nice idea into a practical framework?
That's where the sources give us what they call the 3P leadership blueprint. It's designed to be strategic and spiritual.
And this is about practice, not just theory. The 3 Ps are passion, proficiency, and providence in motion. So are these separate things or do they have to work together?
Oh, they absolutely have to be integrated. Think of it like a three-legged stool. You take one away, the whole thing just collapses.
All right, let's break them down. P1 is passion.
Right. And this isn't just, fleeting excitement. In this framework, passion means the burdens God places on your heart. It's a righteous concern, a holy resolve.
So it's deeper than just feeling sad about a problem. It's a burden that makes you feel like you have to act.
That's it. Think of Nehemiah. He didn't just feel bad about Jerusalem's broken walls. He wept, he prayed, and then he acted. That kind of passion tells you what skills you need to develop. It motivates your stewardship.
But how does a leader know if it's a God-placed burden or just, anxiety? Or even their own ego wanting to fix something and get the credit?
That is the litmus test. A God-placed burden has this enduring quality, and it lacks self-reference. It sticks with you even when it's hard and no one's watching.
Oh.
And importantly, that burden pushes you toward the second P.
Which is proficiency.
Proficiency, the stewardship of your skills and competence.
And the research was clear here. Competence isn't the goal itself. It's the vessel that amplifies the passion and purpose.
Yes. You honor God through excellence. We have to refuse to offer anything less than our best effort. Think about Bezalel in Exodus. He was specifically filled with skill and wisdom to build the tabernacle. His calling required mastery.
So passion, the need for a sanctuary, required proficiency, the actual skill to build it.
And that brings us to the third P, providence. And this is where it can get a little tricky for people.
Because providence, God's orchestration of events, can sound really passive. Like it's just destiny and you don't have to do anything.
But it's not passive at all. Providence is the validation of your effort, not a replacement for it. It's God's sovereign orchestration of timing, relationships, and opportunity.
And you often only see it in hindsight.
Almost always. It's what transforms uncertainty into real opportunity. Look at Joseph. He was incredibly proficient. That's P2 at managing households and prisons. His passion, P1, was his integrity.
But it was providence, the P3, that put it all together.
The timing of the famine, the need for a dream interpreter, that specific sequence of events, that's what took him from slave to prime minister. Providence validated the alignment of his passion and his competence.
Or Esther. For such a time as this, when those three things converge, the passion, the proficiency, and the providence leadership stops being about chasing success.
And it becomes about faithfully responding to what God is already doing.
Okay, so practically, how do we find that alignment? Are there tools?
There is one very practical tool the source material offers, the one-sentence purpose statement.
And this isn't a marketing slogan.
No, not at all. It's a spiritual compass. It's a short, concise sentence that crystallizes your God-given alignment and guides your actual real-world decisions.
And the source gave this great composite story of a leader who is succeeding by every metric, but he can't articulate why he leads, only how.
He's not failing, but he's misaligned. And that is, in many ways, worse because there's no rest in it.
And when you do get that alignment, the research says, get ready for resistance.
Yes. Opposition isn't always a sign you're on the wrong track. Sometimes it's confirmation you're on the right one. I mean, look at Saul on the Damascus road. That was a providential interruption.
God had to violently stop his forward momentum in the wrong direction.
Because crisis often precedes clarity.
Which brings us to a huge shift in how we measure success. The goal becomes Faithfulness over fruitfulness. That's a profound change, but it's also terrifying. How do you measure faithfulness when the boardroom only cares about quarterly fruitfulness?
You measure it by your consistent obedience to that one-sentence purpose statement, whether you get external validation or not. Saul had quick, flashy success, but it was rooted in disobedience.
Whereas David had years of delay and obscurity.
But his choices reflected sustained obedience, and that's the measure of effectiveness. It's sustained obedience to the calling, even when the fruit is hidden for a season.
That gives so much perspective.
Yeah.
So to sum this up, true leadership is anchored in discovery, not self-creation. And it's sustained by this alignment of passion, proficiency, and providence.
Exactly. Purpose isn't a destination you finally arrive at. It's a compass. It gives you enduring direction, not instant outcomes. And it can transform leadership from something heavy into something durable and meaningful.
And that transformation has to start with where you're looking for clarity. It requires a pretty deep resolve.
Absolutely. We've laid out the framework. Now it's about the application.
And that's really the challenge we want to leave you with, and it comes right from the core of this material. We've learned that strategy without calling produces motion, but not direction. So consider this. What would change in your life or in your organization if your biggest decisions flowed less from urgency and expectation and more from a clarity that's rooted in a discovered purpose? Just ponder that relationship between clarity and the courage it takes to act on it.